Alright, well, today I will be showing you the decompiled BSP of Kings Canyon, and this includes, through some work reversing the prop data, the new POI, or Season 6 teaser. This was shown off in the dev stream when they were talking about Octane's abilities, and through some hard work I have managed to load it as it was in the dev stream into Blender. You can see the size, it's pretty big, and replaces, well, I assume it would replace a suspended skull. Now, getting a little closer and switching to material preview, you can see we have the pit over there, salvage here, and water treatment over there, and the exposed bunker. Now, the majority of the map isn't textured because alongside all of the textures required and the 400,000 props that the Kings Canyon map uses, would probably delete my Blender. The first interesting thing to see is this pole here. So this pole is a zipline pole, and will send a zipline down to, I believe, this area. So one of the access points for this big structure, other than this balloon, would be this zipline. Switching to rendered mode, you can see that it looks a lot better, but unfortunately we can't easily move around the scene in this form, so we stick to material preview. Now, the first thing you'll notice here are these giant ships. These ships are called Widows. They're from Titanfall 2 and were originally used to transport Titans. Since the Frontier War has ended and there are no more Titans, they have been instead repurposed for cargo, as you can see these boxes on the floor. Now, moving into the structure, I have added a dummy here for size, and as you can see, these Widow transport ships are quite Titan sized compared to a regular pilot or legend. These boxes here act as rudimentary cover when you first enter the zone, but obviously this is incomplete and not the final product. This is an in-dev version of this POI. Now, as we move further into the location, you'll notice that it's very park-like. You can see benches, trash cans, trees, planters, grass, very modern-looking lights, and this sort of ivy, bougainvillea hanging, again, not completed placeholders and whatnot. Proceeding through this archway, we will find ourselves in a fairly open area here with this upmod shop and some floating trees because, like I said, in dev. Swinging around, you can see that there are some areas up here where you could possibly hide by mantling up here and ambush people walking through doorways. Now, this is the shop, or the upmart of the level. It's a very close quarters area, dummy again for scale. This is my own insert into the level, the dummy, just so that you can get some sort of reference point for the scale. Swinging around, we can see that it's a pretty typical shop with a transparent glass backing. There are refrigerators here, wet floor spill, some food, wine, drinks, so it looks like this is pretty much a big tourist attraction. We have vending machines as well, and a checkout or cashier. moving on. The rest of the structure is pretty much very similar. It's a concentric circle layout, so we have these center circle here, which has some tops and some grass. And the outer circle here. And the outer circle, which has these planter boxes and pieces of cargo laid around. It gives off a very Titanfall 2 vibe. I believe the glitch level. It's using a lot of assets from that. And I have the clip somewhat set, so you see these some of these textures aren't really clipping nicely, but it's fine. And coming up to the other side, we have another one of these big water transport ships and what looks like this sort of strange helipad with this somewhat very in development helicopter hovercraft thing. The other notable thing here would be this sign. As you can see, it says Braven, Reseda Trail, Restrooms, and West 45. We've seen this Reseda before. Reseda. So switching back into rendered view, you can see that it does look somewhat better. Again, very in-dev and not in the Apex engine, it's in Blender. So a lot of this will look completely different in game. This is just a first look preview at this new interesting point of interest. Now let's talk a bit about what this is for, why it is here, and when is it coming. Now, minor spoilers for the end of the quest, Season 6, and feature map. We have been introduced to this possible feature map before in the Season 5 trailer, where we saw Revenant's source code / head got teleported to Samarthe. Olympus is a city on Samarthe. We saw on Olympus the Season 4 trailer, where Loba's parents were brutally murdered by Revenant. And a lot of the load screens for Season 5 feature Olympus. Now, I think it's pretty fair to say, if you've stuck with me so far, that it's about a 95% chance that the new map will be Olympus. Now, in terms of code evidence for Olympus, a lot of these assets that are being used for this structure have the word Olympus in the name, or in a more convincing fashion, they have the map name MPRR Olympus in the actual file path. And this is very similar to, say, MPRR Canyonlands, which is the name for Kings Canyon. This structure is called Olympus Zone 10, and Zone 10 is a way to basically number all the different individual points of interest or areas in a zone. And Zone 10 would be around Salvage and Suspended Skull and Torbay. So Olympus Zone 10 Torbay. And Torbay is, I'm probably pronouncing this horribly wrong, but Torbay is a sort of rudimentary flying construct, and this entire thing seems to be hovering, so it seems fitting. Minor correction, Torbay is actually a World War I bomber, German bomber, not a rudimentary flying construct. And so I think that's pretty much it in terms of this new point of interest. If you have any questions about data mining, leave them down below. This took quite a long time to do. I think it took at least over half a day to reverse engineer and decompile this thing from the compiled map. And I may do a video on Rampart and the Rampart paintball teasers and whatnot, because there seems to be a lot of misconceptions going around, and people not really understanding what the code means. So that could be something I'll do in the future if there's any interest for it. One final thing, there is also another sublime pole here, just on the other side of the structure, and this appears to connect to this area here. So there are more than one ways to get on top of this the structure. And of course there's also a balloon, which you can land anywhere with the balloon.